Good evening, everybody. How are we doing for this YouTube exclusive right now for the Ron Ropes podcast? Now, guys, you've heard us talking about this for the longest time. One of the companies that we're proud to be working with right now is Immortal Championship Wrestling, based in upstate New York. And one of the guys who happened to be on the last show, in my opinion, was one of the better matches of the night because it was also my commentary debut. The one, the only, the natural one himself, Mr. Nick Sullivan. Nick, how you doing tonight?
Doing really good. Just watching the baby monitor to make sure my toddler doesn't wake up. Besides, I'm doing really good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really good. And first of all, like I said before, it was an honor that your match was the match that I got to make my commentary debut on.
Great. Well, I
But
hope you enjoyed it.
oh, it was fun. It was amazing. It was an amazing film. But looking back at that now, how do you think? First of all, what are your thoughts on that on your match that you had?
Well, as you know, it wasn't necessarily a match. Father Derek and I had a little dispute. It was supposed to be a lumberjack match against myself and Garrett Holiday. There was false accusations that I attacked him. Lo and behold, he had surgery. So I attacked the guy. A couple of lumberjacks tried to get, I guess you want to say, too tough for their britches. And I guess I had to throw them around. And one literally went in the audience. So it was an interesting day. And, this arguing with the fans, trying to fight the fans. It's typical.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially where I was sitting because I was sitting by commentary, and all I see is you going after all these guys, and then there's the one guy I don't know his name, but you really had him up in the military press.
Yeah.
And then at one point you're going like this. I'm going, oh crap.
Yep. One arm press. Yep.
And all I can see is you chuck him.
Yep.
And all I saw then was the hitting of the metal guard. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah. If you saw my face, I was like, shit. So I turned. I'm like, oh, god damn it.
Well, the funny part was I was told afterwards that when they finally released the match, you'll hear it on commentary. That apparently my first time doing it, and I sold it perfectly.
Good.
I sold it like it was like I had been doing this for 20 years.
That's what makes a match. A lot of people forget, like the commentary, besides two wrestlers in the ring, but the referee, the commentary, the production, it all makes up the sum of the match.
Oh, I totally agree. Because to me, if you're not, and like for me, like I said before, that was my first time at an Immortal show. So I didn't really know the whole backstory. And granted, yeah, we did have Garrett on here, which, by the way, folks, if you'd like to go watch the interview, you definitely can. It's up on our YouTube page. So I kind of was intrigued with that one. And when Cody said to me, oh, you can be on commentary, what match you want to do? I was like, let's go with Garrett and Nick. Because I was so engraved in it because of the story that obviously that Garrett was saying that you had presented at the show. So I was really enthralled. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I think commentary plays a major role.
Yep.
I would almost say they're like the understudy, so to speak, if that makes sense.
No, I 100% agree. It's like, think about like back in the old times when they would have baseball and it would be through the radio and you hear the announcers, oh, he hit a home run. It's like you can visualize yourself being there. Obviously today, like we have technology where you can see the video footage, but a lot of places still go by audio too, like the radio that comes at like Syracuse football or just basketball or football in general. This goes by the commentary and this you could just picture on like what the commentator is saying, and you can picture in your mind too what's happening.
So now what because I was looking up, you've only been wrestling for a couple of years.
Yep.
So what got you, was there a specific moment or a match that made you want to decide, you know what, I want to get into this crazy sport?
Well, funny story is, ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted to be a wrestler. I would definitely say my grandfather, he's Italian, grew up in Brooklyn. He would always go to the shows back in the day. He used to take my mom to the wrestling shows. My dad, who grew up in Alabama, used to go to all the NWA events. So growing up, I had a really big wrestling family. And when I was younger, I got into amateur wrestling. So from amateur wrestling to wrestling on the freestyle and Greco, Olympic style level to wrestling in college and overseas. My goal, no matter what, was to always be a pro wrestler. Now, I had no idea there was wrestling schools when I was a little kid. I literally thought you graduated college and you became a wrestler. That's how I thought about as a little kid. Never knew what independent wrestling was. The only thing growing up I knew was TNA, WCW, WWE, Ring of Honor. What else was there? There was obviously the NWA. There's
Yeah.
all these other ECW. There's all these other wrestling companies I always used to see on TV. I had no idea what independent wrestling was. And back in 2014, obviously 2CW had the wrestling school, which is still currently running today by Zachary Springate. When I was wrestling in college, I actually contacted the school, had a chance to do a couple practice sessions. So that's how I got a chance to meet Isis, Mike Skyros, which Mike and I are very close friends to this day. However, when I was doing a couple of training sessions, I was still competing in freestyle and Greco and wrestling in college. So I do one or the other. And obviously, I had commitments to freestyle and Greco and collegiate wrestling. Then a year or two after that, I had a chance to connect with Slick Wagner Brown, which I'm guessing you know who that is. Slick and I did a couple training sessions, but again, too, I still had my commitments to freestyle and Greco. Then at one point, because I was doing freestyle and Greco and this amateur wrestling for so long, and all the accolades, all the accomplishments that I succeeded, at one point you get burnt out, and I was just burnt out and just tired. So doing research, I contacted a couple of wrestling schools. This was around 2017, 2018, and I was able to contact Upstate Pro Wrestling. Had a chance to meet Mark House and other guys there. Had my first real training experience there. Then just got the ball rolling.
Because now, growing up, I know you mentioned before, WCW. What were your more towards for you watching? Were you more WWE, WCW, TNA, Ring of Honor?
I was actually, especially when it came to like the Monday Night Wars, well, both companies, I would always go back and forth. I'd always record. I would always have two VCRs running with my grandpa. Literally, like Video King and like Blockbuster, every goddamn week, I would always run the same VHS tapes or DVDs. Go to Media Play, go to FYE, just buy tons and tons of matches and this watch. I would watch the same stuff over and over again because it's something I always want to do. And still to this day, I still have the tapes upstairs in a bin, and I'm still a big toy collector. So when I was a little kid, I would always have all the wrestlers, Toys R Us, KB Toys. Go to literally every damn week. I'd always get a new wrestler. And I just remember in kindergarten, I used to draw the wrestlers like all the cartoon characters. And my grandpa told me if I did good at school, he would buy me a wrestler. So then it became from me literally getting a wrestler every week. Then to kind of go further down, back in 2012, my grandpa passed away. And like I really never I experienced like death before, but like it hit me hard. And that's another reason why I became a wrestler, because every time I'm out there, I visualize him watching me, like how he wrestling, cheering me on. And this obviously my goal, no matter what, is to get signed. And I truly believe I'll get signed. And it's for him, my wife, and my son. Like that's why I work so hard and try so hard. But yeah, like growing up, I really never had a favorite. I always watched both.
First of all, I'm sorry for your loss.
No worries. But thank you.
And I totally get where you're coming from, because it's little things in life that keep you wanting to pursue
Yes.
your dream. Now, obviously your moniker is called the Natural.
Yep.
Was that, did you come up with that, or were you given that by somebody else? And what's the backstory with that?
Well, I came up with that phrase years and years ago. During freestyle and Greco, I would wrestle between 220 and heavyweight. So a lot, like if I had a bump of heavyweight, I'll gain weight. But if I got sucked down to, let's say, 211, for example, I'd be like really, really shredded and cut up in some really physical shape. Then everyone would assume I would be taking some type of enhancement. But that's why I always call myself the Natural, because I was always natural, no matter, even though I was really, really physically fit. I looked like I was on somebody that was taking something. So when I would always come up with that name, I feel a lot better now. I'm not sucking weight because I can eat. I'm not miserable or mean all the time. So, but I'm like, hey, that's my wrestling name, and obviously because like the natural Dustin Rhodes.
And I totally get that. But when you, obviously, like you said before, you did Greco and everything through college. As far as the training, do you feel there's a big difference in training for the Greco and the freestyle compared to now when you do the independent stuff?
Yes, with freestyle and Greco, I always like we're always taught well the amateur wrestling, just keep going, take down, get up, take down, get up. It's all speed training, Um, some, we toned down a bit, but I was always taught about speed and just pure strength. Just a lot of training. So when I transitioned from freestyle and Greco to pro wrestling, again, I don't know my own strengths, and even though I know we all know wrestling is, people may get mad, but obviously wrestling is a work. But obviously, there's a lot of physicality into it. Um, I didn't like getting taken down, so I used to like sprawl on people and go for like legit shoot moves. I remember one day, in Upstate Pro Wrestling at training. Obviously, you know who Matic is. Matic was one of my trainers too, as well, and I credit for him to helping me. I had a match with him a few years ago. That was like my breakout match, and he helped me so much. He'll credit a lot. I remember one time during practice, someone's like, "Oh, suplex." So in my mind, people like a snap suplex. I just went for a shoot German suplex, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, "Oh, you guys said suplex." So in my mind, I'm like, a German suplex, like a 5-point throw. So if you ever see me in the ring do certain throws, 99% of the time they're legit real throws. That's why depending on who I work with, a lot of guys know how to take the move, but a lot of guys will try to either jump early or will try to do some fancy shit. And at the end of the day, I can execute the move and maybe they'll land the wrong way. But since I'm the one executing the move, it makes me look bad. So the training, I had to tone everything back and start working with a pace and going slow because I'm so used to going fast. So even like especially if I go to practice, I'm like let's say I'm working around like Skyros or somebody, I'll still go 100%. I don't get tired. That's one thing I credit for amateur wrestling is my endurance. So a lot of times I can execute the moves, but when I do go to training, I'd rather just get my ass kicked, because I feel like you can execute the moves all the time and do all the facial expressions, but a good proponent of wrestling is learning how to sell. Have the crowd see your facial expressions. You see, you're in pain. Just to have the look in your face, you're fighting back. So it was step by step, but I will definitely credit Skyros, Father Derek. He definitely helped me in the past 2 years to, I guess, expand more on my character, come out of my shell more, be more theatrical. So he's definitely been a great deal to help me, especially tone down everything and start going slow, start working more, have a pace.
And I totally get where you're coming from, especially with when you were talking before about the suplex, because with that being such a dangerous move, and you see in wrestling now,
Yeah.
one move the wrong way can all of a sudden alter somebody's career. So now my question to you is, when you're working with somebody, are you somebody who's going to want to work with, let's say, somebody who's first coming up who may not have that much experience? Like,
Now,
you have a preference of who you work with is probably the best thing.
me, I'm at the level where I just want to work the best guys, like especially Canada. Canada has a big independent scene and just has a big class of wrestlers. And I've had some great matches there. But again, too, if they have me go against somebody who's starting out, I'll do whatever I can to protect them. Like obviously over the weekend, there was obviously some of those guys were very new, and honestly, I want to try to make them look good as possible. But my goal is to protect the guys. Like the one guy, for example, I just don't remember his name off the top of my head. Very nice guy. When I gave him the German,
Yeah.
he tried to move it around a bit, and I held him. Like, oh no! And then I gave him the German because I know everyone does moves a certain way. And from the background I came from, I'm in control. I've had guys before too, like if I do an overhead suplex, I've had guys will try to lock their legs onto my hips as I'm throwing them, and then afterwards they're hurt. They get pissed off, and me, I haven't. I if I it takes me. I always try to be very happy. I just want to laugh all the time. I'd rather be positive, just joking around, just have a great time. I don't like being mad. I don't like being mean because if I get pissed off and mean, I'm a dickhead. I'm a complete asshole and a prick. I don't like acting like that. But if somebody like pushes my buttons or complains, it's like, dude, it's like it takes two to tango. With pro wrestling, it's a dance, and our goal is to protect each other. Yeah, there are times if we sip each other and we give each other a seat, it is what it is. Afterwards, we go in the back and talk about it. But a lot of times, the guys won't talk about it and they'll complain to you online. Like I've had guys plenty of times where after the match, like, hey man, how do you feel? What do you think? How was it? What can I work on? Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be stuffy. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm good. Then the next day I'll check up on them. Then they'll go on a rant on why they're mad about this, that, and the other. And it's like we're all adults. We're wrestling in tights. Let's talk man to man, okay? We're all too old to fight, okay? And if we really are going to fight, then let's take it in the cage. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is this: as you've seen it, you've been in the wrestling world for a long time too, as well. There's drama wherever you go. There's no right and wrong. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has an asshole. We all shit. But with that being said, I personally like working with guys that are already signed or guys in the higher independents because one, that raises my stock, but two, this shows what I can prove and I can go to that next level. Feel like for me, I like the competition, and my goal is to always prove somebody wrong. And I love when someone thinks that I can't make it or I can't do this or that. I just strive on people telling me I can't do it.
And then I totally see where you're coming from, and I noticed that on at the Immortal show when it seemed like you wanted to do a little bit more, but obviously with the circumstances at hand.
Yep.
Oh, I was literally sitting there, and I remember at commentary turning around to Cody and going, and I literally said to Cody in that match, I'm like, what the hell is next for these two? And I guess that's my question for you: is what's the next? What could possibly be done so you and Garrett could actually have a match and there's not bodies flying all the way through, Schenectady, New York?
Now, with Garrett, I really hope we do have our match. Gonna break the fourth wall right now, but him and I are very close. My wife and I went to his wedding. My wife is good friends with his wife. He may hate that I'm breaking character right now, but when I found out that he had the certain procedure done, I reached out to him, just told him, just please let us know if you need anything. He's someone that when I first started, I got a chance to meet. A really great wrestler. He works so hard, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves. I always tell him all the time, dude, just branch out because people don't realize how great of a talent he is. He works very, very hard. And I get pissed off a lot because like there's a lot of my friends there that don't like in New York State that whether it be drama with companies against each other or just wrestle against each other, it ruins a lot of it for a lot of the talent. Like Garrett is someone that I can see definitely branch out and can make it big. And hopefully when he does come back from his surgery or after his surgery, we can have our match because again, he's someone I love working with. He's one of my best friends. I'm very close with him and just want to have fun, And I believe that we told a great story. I wish we could tell more, obviously, but only time will tell, too. I just want to come back. Oh, sorry, no, I was going to say, I just wanted to come back completely healed and just ready to go.
I totally see that, but I noticed that on Saturday when I got told what happened, and I was like, okay, I'm curious to see how this is pulled off. I give you guys a lot of credit because I had a good friend of mine who was at the show as well, who didn't realize something happened until after the show was done.
Yeah.
I think it was the next day, and I said to her, I explained to her the whole story. She goes, I would never have known that.
Yeah, and like with me, especially like when it comes to certain areas, I'm good at pissing people off. But as you can see how I reacted, like especially at the end of my rant, That's literally me getting mad. But because the crowd hated me, I strive off of that. So I'm like, you know what? Let me flip the switch right now. And Lee hated the shit out of me. And I think the funniest things that made me laugh is when when I was just talking crap to the crowd and Derek and I were going back and forth. And when I screamed black and the crowd looked at me like I had 12 goddamn heads. And I wanted to laugh so hard. I'm like, all right, this is a weird crowd tonight. And I had to keep my composure. Then I'm not sure if you know who Chris Worthless is.
No.
He's he had the long red hair. The
Yeah.
one
Okay.
that is one of the guys that owns Ground Zero, the wrestling school in Rochester, and ran Ground Zero too as well in Syracuse. Very great guy, good friends with him. The first guy through, he was like, "Do it for Black History Month," and he made me laugh. So I'm like, all right, I have to keep in character because I'm someone that likes to laugh all the time. I always joke around, I'm like, all right, I cannot laugh. But yeah, like just me at the end, like me and that fan going at it. That's the one thing we all know. Fans talk shit. I watch a lot of Mid-South wrestling too, and it's like obviously the fans can't put their hands on the wrestlers, and he put his hands on me. That's why I flipped his hat. Obviously, I know he's not going to come in the ring, and if he did, lo and behold, I had to beat the shit out of him. And but I'm protected though, so don't worry about that when it comes to insurance wise. But you get obviously you get a lot of these fans that are so drawn into the drama that I'm doing my job.
Oh, that's all that it matters. It's if you have a fan now. Yes, when I go to wrestling shows, yes, I'm obviously viewing it much differently.
Yes,
because I'm not sitting there as a regular fan going, "Ooh, this guy just did this," because of the fact that, and I'm going to break the fourth wall as well here. My co-host was the one who was the ring announcer on Saturday.
okay,
Ryan Peterson.
great guy.
Oh, he's a fantastic guy. I put him over as much as I can, and I've spoken to him a lot of times. I've gotten to know a lot of these wrestlers, and I sit there and also listen to Busted Open a lot with Dave LaGreca, Bully Ray, and all them. I look at wrestling much differently. I look at it not so much as a fan, but more as like, okay, well, how do we get from this point to this point and connect all the dots?
Yes.
Because the one thing I strive for when it comes to watching wrestling is storytelling. That's my biggest thing. It doesn't matter if you're talking about Immortal. It doesn't matter if you're talking about NYCW, AEW, WWE. To me, storytelling is what is going to get a fan invested.
Yep, draws the fans in. Yep, correct.
And what you and Garrett did on Saturday, in what was supposed to be your match, I think definitely drove people in to be like, okay, well, where is this going now?
Yeah, we're painting a picture for something bigger.
Oh. And I think, so to me, storytelling is key. And I noticed that a lot at Immortal, which now that leads me to my next question. Other than your match, what match on that show did you enjoy watching? As taking off the wrestler hat and put on the fan hat.
Well, besides Sky Rose, because we're friends, Spencer Slade and Bill Collier. They're two great wrestlers. Spencer Slade, him and I years ago started talking like through chat and stuff, and he's a fantastic wrestler out of Pennsylvania. Bill Collier, he's someone that should have been signed years ago. I believe he's still in his 40s, and he could go with the best of them. He's a great worker. He's not selfish at all. I still want to work together at some point, and again, like that's my goal is to work with somebody like a Bill Collier because again, going 20 minutes with him, that just shows I have to bring my A game, bring it 120%, just run with the horses, But that match, and not just because it was the main event. Hell, if that was match number one, I would be just drawn into that match. And like you said, every match tells a story. Like another example, like when Coffin wrestled Bobby Bates, they have their story with ataxia and Bobby being gone for 4 years and him blaming Coffin or one ataxia. And like every match is different. Like there's obviously those throwaway matches, but there's certain matches that tell certain stories that like if Immortal had a weekly television show or a weekly YouTube show that it could just play off each and every week.
Okay.
fans get invested and get like, hey, what's going on this week? Oh my god, he attacked him. Why did he attack him? And obviously like Maddox's 24/7 run, which has been epic for I believe like the past year. So like with Immortal, there's so many different casts and characters, and each of them have their own chapter, I guess you want to say, their own story.
Well, you're also forgetting another one, and I don't want to leave these guys out because I think these guys also told a phenomenal story. The tag team champions.
Yes, Power Supply against Ben Hamlin and Blaze Haram. That was a very good match. Obviously, Ben used to be part of OVW, and their promos are. I know a lot of people don't agree with their promos because of language use, but they get the crowd hating them. Like when I first started, Ben was someone that I first met, and he always compared me to Taz, which I always thought that was cool. Because
I could see that.
When I was younger, when I was younger watching ECW at 12 o'clock in the morning, like the network or the MSG network when I wasn't supposed to. I'm like, yo, this guy's cool. Who the hell is he? Just throwing people around, dropping them on their heads.
I could almost see I could see like Taz if he was bigger because when I saw you at the show, you're big in the upper body area.
Yep.
So it would almost be like a mixture of. I'm trying to find the best way to put this. Like Taz mixed with Mark Henry a little bit.
Agreed.
If you get my drift on that.
Oh, for sure. I don't know if you know who Dr. Bob is. He runs. He's part of the New York State Athletic Commission. Him and I are very close. And after that whole debacle that happened Saturday, I went up to him because him and I talk, and I was like, "Hey, so you see what happened?" And we're just like shooting a shit. And he was asking me like, "Why do I have my weight at this as a build weight?" I'm like, "Well, one, it makes me look obviously bigger." And he said, he's like, "I could have sworn you weighed 230. I blushed, and I immediately text my wife. I'm like, I'm a slim 230. And for like the next day, I ate Taco Bell, and I kept telling her I'm 230. I felt like complete shit after that. Little side story.
You're good. Obviously, we want to get to a couple more wrestling questions, and I got one last big question we usually ask everybody at the end.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got Road to Immortality coming up on the 25th. Are you? I don't. Don't want you to say if you're on the show yet or not, but with that show, what's your thoughts going into that one? Being that that's basically the Royal Rumble show before the show in July.
Honestly, I don't know if I'm booked or not, but if I'm in the Rumble or any match I'm in, someone try if I am in the Royal Rumble, whether it be friend or foe, if they're going to try to eliminate me, I'm going to throw some bombs and I'll start doing some shoot wrestling. Especially with me, I'll ground somebody if I have to. And it's going to take an arm to throw me out.
Folks, if you're watching this, it's going to take a lot to throw him out. I saw it on Saturday. He took out 12 people by himself. If you had the opportunity to wrestle in any big venue, not just in New York, but in the world, where would it be?
Ooh.
It doesn't have to be a venue. It could be a stadium, arena.
Okay. Definitely Madison Square Garden. Just because of the lineage, the history. My grandfather grew up around that area. So I feel like it'll be like a full circle if I had a chance to wrestle at Madison Square Garden. I feel like if you got a chance to wrestle at MSG, like you made it, because at one point that was like the mecca of wrestling at one point.
Oh yeah, and now I know there's another building called the Mecca, and that's in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey.
Yep.
But if you had the opportunity to go up against any talent that's either currently wrestling or wrestled beforehand, doesn't matter what era, what generation, doesn't matter who would it be?
Or this is a toughie because obviously I'm a fan of Roman Reigns. I know people hate him. They always hate his work, but the guy is doing fantastic. Obviously, it's Kurt Angle, amateur wrestling, Brock Lesnar, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Taker, Kane, Mick Foley. Macho Man, honestly, I would have to say Hulk Hogan. Because think about it, Hulk Hogan is the one that Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon are the two that literally revolutionized pro wrestling to the mainstream. And everyone knows, like, you work with Hogan in the '80s, like, you're making money, and like he's someone that it's an easy night. You beat the shit out of him for 10 minutes, and he hulks up, pose, big boot, leg drop, 1, 2, 3, and you both go home happy. A lot of people have their opinion on Hogan. It's not so positive, and I've read a lot of stuff about him, and a lot of it's just it's like Jesus. But again, you have to respect him. Again, a lot of people complain that he only does so many moves, but when you're at that top, you're at that level, and you appeal to kids, just like John Cena. You don't need to do 15 moves. You don't need to be a technician. Obviously, when he wrestled in Japan, obviously he was more of a technical wrestler, but he still did his posing, his hulking up. But you don't need all that when you're at the top. Like Roman Reigns, again, people hate Roman Reigns. People cannot wait for him to win the belt, to lose the belt. But again, too, he's a perfect heel right now. Yeah, he's a big guy. He can kick ass. He could talk in the mic, but yeah, he gets help still. But it doesn't matter. He's a bad guy. You need heels like that in wrestling. And when hopefully, if Cody Rhodes does beat him, that's going to be a really, really big moment at WrestleMania. Obviously, a lot of people are upset because Sami Zayn didn't win an Elimination Chamber, but I believe his time will come. You may never know. It was a fantastic match. There's a lot of storytelling, but anything can happen.
I totally agree. But Nick, thank you so much for hopping on tonight.
I really appreciate you. Like, we had, obviously, the first time we met was Saturday, and I was like connecting with people in the first. I always go by first impression, and you seem to have really positive energy, and you're just really down to earth and a great guy. So I'm really glad that we got a chance to meet.
Oh, I appreciate that. That means a lot, and the door is always open for you to come back on whenever you would like.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Before I let you go, though, where can people find you on social media, and what do you have coming up that you like to promote?
Social media, you can find me on Facebook, Nick the Natural Sullivan. Same thing with my Twitter and Instagram. This Saturday, I will be at Seaway Valley Wrestling in Cornwall, Ontario. So I said, like, majority of my bookings are in Canada, and a lot of times I will get booked on the last minute in Canada. So I always go by. A lot of times I'll just go once I find out I'm in Canada. Go. I will say, though, like I said before, obviously the states like New York, New Jersey, they have great wrestling, but Canadian wrestling, me personally, I'm a New Yorker. Wrestling where it's at. Like I said, this is by the talent pool, the companies C4, IWS Montreal, Seaway Valley. There's such a plethora of things. And what I noticed in the locker room there, like, yeah, there's drama, but you don't see it out in the open as you see in a lot of locker rooms I've been into around here in the States. Just everyone works hard, busts their asses. They all want to put on a great show.
I could not disagree with you more. It's been a long day today. I completely agree. I completely agree with you on that. And again, Nick, it was a pleasure to get you on. I definitely want to have you on again as we get closer to the road to immortality happening March 25th. Venue not announced yet, but hopefully we'll know within the next couple of weeks. But again, Nick,
we'll definitely find out in a couple.
Yeah, exactly. Once Mike finds out and he puts it out there, we'll be putting that on our socials as well. But Nick, thank you so much for hopping on. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
You're totally welcome. For the Natural Nick Sullivan, I'm John. This has been another YouTube exclusive for the On the Ropes podcast, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Take care, guys.